Wondered how two of the biggest countries in the world, America and China, can go from trading billions of dollars a day to locking horns over taxes and threats? Well, that's exactly what's happening right now. Today we're diving deep into the continuing trade talks between the US and China and how former President Donald Trump's tariff measures are shaking the global economy. Let's break it down in a simple and clear way so you know what's really going on and how it could affect you. Let's start with the basics. What's a tariff? A tariff is like a tax that one country puts on goods coming in from another country. So if China sells electronics to the US and the US puts a tariff on them, it means they cost more for American companies and buyers. Sounds simple, right? But the real story is way more complicated. Back in 2018, during his first term, President Trump started putting tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese products. He said it was to fight back against unfair trade practices like China stealing American ideas, manipulating its currency, and not opening its markets fairly to US businesses. Trump's message was clear: America first. He wanted to bring back jobs to American factories, reduce America's trade deficit, and show China that the US wasn't going to be pushed around anymore. Fast forward to today. Even though Trump is no longer president, many of those tariffs are still in place. And now, as rumors swirl about his return to politics, trade talks with China are back in the spotlight. Here's the thing. These tariffs didn't just hit China. They also raised prices for American companies and consumers. Everything from TVs to sneakers to car parts became more expensive. Companies either had to eat the cost or pass it on to you and me. But despite all that, the US government, under both Trump and Biden, kept many of the tariffs in place. Why? Because they're seen as a bargaining chip, a way to pressure China to agree to fairer deals, and that's where the trade talks come in. Both countries have been trying, on and off, to reach a deal that benefits them both, but it's not easy. Why? Because each side wants to win. China wants the US to drop the tariffs. They argue that these taxes are hurting global trade and making life harder for businesses and consumers everywhere. The US wants China to play fair, stop copying American tech, stop blocking American companies, and stop giving unfair support to its own industries. So the talks go back and forth, sometimes hopeful, sometimes tense. Recently, both countries agreed to restart serious negotiations. US officials met with their Chinese counterparts to talk about big-picture goals like technology, agriculture, intellectual property, and national security. But there's tension under the surface. China feels targeted, and the US feels like China's playing by its own rules. Trump, even from outside the White House, is still part of the conversation. He's been speaking out, saying the US should double down on tariffs and take an even tougher stance. He argues that only strong measures will force China to stop unfair practices and bring jobs back to America, but critics say this approach could backfire. They warn that continuing a trade war could cause inflation, hurt small businesses, and even damage global alliances. So where are we now? We're stuck in a tricky middle ground. Talks are happening. Tariffs are still in place. Both sides are watching each other closely, testing, waiting, and calculating. China recently responded with its own tariffs on some American goods like agricultural products and certain technologies. This tit-for-tat strategy makes negotiations even harder. Let's look at the numbers. The U.S.-China trade relationship is worth over $650 billion a year. That's massive. Any disruption in that flow affects global supply chains from your local grocery store to giant corporations. When tensions rise, stock markets get jittery. And when deals are announced, markets rally. It's like a roller coaster, and everyone's along for the ride. So what does this all mean for regular people like you and me? Here's how it might show up in your life. Higher prices on imported goods, delays in getting products from overseas, less variety on store shelves, and for some workers, especially in manufacturing or farming, less job security. This isn't just a government issue, it touches everything from your iPhone to your dinner plate. Some experts say it's time to reset the entire relationship. Others believe a slow, cautious approach is best. But one thing is clear, America and China are deeply connected. They need each other, but they also compete. That's what makes this so complicated. It's not just about money, it's about power and who gets to shape the future of the global economy. In the coming months, trade talks will continue, and Trump, whether as a political candidate or a loud voice in the public space, will keep pushing his message of tough love on China. The big question is, will this strategy work? Or will it push both countries even further apart? We don't have that answer yet, but one thing is for sure. This story isn't just about politics, it's about people, it's about us. And the choices world leaders make today will affect how we live, work and trade tomorrow. Here's your takeaway. The US and China are still at the negotiation table. Trump's tariffs still cast a long shadow, and what happens next could change the global economy for years to come. So keep watching, keep learning and stay informed. Because the world is changing and knowledge is your best tool. If you found this breakdown helpful, leave a comment below. What do you think about the US China trade talks? Should tariffs stay or go? Let's talk about it. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe so we can keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching. I'm Money Matter, and I'll see you in the next one.